Hello, BookTube. I have missed you. It has been some time. It has been a lot of sometimes, but I am gonna try to do this again. And I'm gonna do a tag video that has been going around for a long time, but I just thought it would be a good one to start with instead of telling you all the books that I love. Maybe tell you about some books that I don't love so much. So this is going to be the book Sacrifice Tag. I believe Ariel Bissett is the one who started this one, so I'll link her below, but I mean, she's a huge booktuber, so you probably already know who she is if you somehow ran across my video. That's okay, I'll still link her below because, you know, love for the booktubes. Tag 1. Scenario 1. Scenario 1. Scenario. Number 1. You are in a bookstore and all of a sudden all the sirens start going off and something's obviously up and you hear a PSA saying, "Stay where you are, the zombie apocalypse is upon us. There's no way out unless you find a book, a very overhyped book, and you take it and you chuck it at the zombies, and that will save you. Somehow, it will save you." For this one, my answer came quick and easy, and I did not have a hard time picking what book I would chuck over at said zombies. That book would be 50 Shades of Grey. I am somewhat ashamed to say that I read this and the entire series, but then again, I pride myself on giving people and books chances, so I gave the whole series a chance. I think there's a reason I worked out a lot while I was actually reading this book, because I had so much pent-up anger and frustration that I just, like, instead of tossing my Kindle, because I read it on my Kindle, across the room, I had to, like, run. And like I was on the elliptical right while reading this and I was like, did they seriously just use this word for that? This would be chucked. Scenario deuce. We have just gotten our hair done and we're walking outside and we look gorgeous, but all of a sudden rain starts pouring down and you don't want to get your hair messed up. We need to pick, I don't know why I'm saying we. Why am I talking in first person plural? There's only one of me. Pick a sequel that you despise, dislike, don't have the taste for, and you have to use it to cover your freshly done hair and keep yourself beautiful, so it's gonna get drenched. And the one I picked is the last book in a series, and that is Allegiant. If you have seen my other videos, at least one of them I think I've talked about it, I had so much hope for this book. I was so impressed with Veronica Roth's writing in Divergent and Insurgent. I love the characters. Triss is one of my favorite characters. I really enjoy Four and his journey through the book, but this was just, I just felt like it was so rushed and the writing was poor and it just, stuff was happening because it had to happen to make other things happen. It did not feel right after reading the first 2 books. So this book is going to cover my head, just like that. Does it cover all my hair? Will it be safe? I don't know, but I'm going to use it. 3. Let's take it back a notch. Take it back. Let's just go back in time. We are going back to high school, and a teacher is about to assign a new book in class that we need to read. A classic that is supposed to be one of those hard-hitting literature pieces that makes or breaks you as a reader and a literary lover, and it just has changed the world of writing and reading and blah 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 blah. This one, it's like, I don't even really get it. I don't get the love that this book has. Like the the passionate following it has, and that is Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. I know a lot of people hate it and a lot of people love it, and I hate it. I've hated it since I read it the first time when I was 14, and I'm really proud of myself for hating it back then, because I just don't get it, okay? First of all, I know that society and culture has changed over time, and we need to try to read the book in the context in which it was written, or the play in which it was written and first performed, which was a long time ago, but we're in the 21st century now, and we're reading this book with 13, 14, 15-year-old kids who have enough on their plate, and life is confusing, and there's technology, and guess what? There are still boys and girls still make each other crazy, and there's not a lot of self-confidence in terms of high schoolers and middle schoolers. And I don't understand why, for some reason, teachers and educational systems think it's a good idea to be like, oh, hey, little teenager, adolescent people who could use maybe an uplifting and powerful story. Here's Romeo and Juliet. They gave up everything after knowing each other for like, I don't know, a week, because they decided they were in love, and they decided that that love was worth killing themselves over without really thinking through any of their actions. You think that's a good thing for kids to read? I mean, come on. Like, seriously, I would take that and I would throw it out the window, and I would be like, teach, maybe let's try Merchant of Venice. That's one of my favorite Shakespearean plays. Let's try Hamlet or Macbeth. Still some death in there, but it feels like it really packs a more powerful punch and has a better message at the end of the story. Let's go one of his comic works and go A Midsummer Night's Dream. Like, what do you want to do? There are so many options. There are so many options with an amazing author like William Shakespeare. I mean, why do we decide Romeo and Juliet is the book that we should share with a young audience, a young generation, as the works of Shakespeare? I just don't get it. It's just like, there's like, my brain just doesn't compute. It just doesn't. I'm lost. I'm lost. I thought it was dumb the first time I read it when I was one of those teenagers, and I think it's dumb now. So, out the window. Last scenario. We are in a library, and we've just found out that all of a sudden, down comes global warming. Yep, it happened in an instant, and outside is just a frozen, just like popsicle of a world, and to stay warm and survive, you need to burn a book. Yeah, so I would say, like, really the easy answer here is just like a big book, but they said it has to be your least favorite book of all time, so I just feel like this is cheating a little bit, because I already talked about 50 Shades of Grey for my first book, but really that's the first book in a series. So if we had global warming and I needed to make a fire and I needed to stay warm, I would take the last two books from that trilogy, 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Free. Is that right? Are those right? I guess I'll find out. I would take those two books. So I would have thrown the first book at the zombies. It would have stopped them. Global warming would have just rained down on the earth. All the zombies would have been frozen outside, and then I would have had the other two books inside the library where I would make like a nice, warm, cozy fire and enjoy watching them burn, because the sentence structure, the word choices, some of the grammatical decisions hurt me as an English lover, and then as a woman, I feel not so great about this book. Yes, I understand, like, reading erotica can be exciting and thrilling and open up your mind to possibilities, and you feel free and sensual and that blah blah blah. And I've read other books. I've read some of Sylvia Day's books. I've read the Beautiful Bastard like series, just to get like an idea of other erotic novels or like sexy adult series, I don't know. And I have much more respect for that and how the characters interact and how they treat each other and what the author writes. But this book, man, these books, 3 books, and now movies. It's just demeaning. So I burn them. I burned the first one, and then I chuck the first one at zombies, and I burned 2 and 3 to keep warm while trying to figure out how to use the rest of the books in the library to combat global warming. This was the book sacrifice tag. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm interested to see what people think of what I said, and if there are any books that come up in your mind that they just like bite at you and nag at you, and you just like kind of really hate them. You like start getting a twitch, a twitch. I don't know what it's called. I'm so tired. Okay. Just, if you have any books you want to talk about it, I'd love it if you left them in the comments below, and I'd love to hear what you think about the books that I mentioned. Next, I will be sure to do a happier tag or video where I'm not so hateful and frustrated with other people's words, because really, I do love many books. I love most of them. These are the rare ones.